I have decided to nickname Mr. Samuel Mutua Kivuitu as Mr. KURU. KURU ni maneno inaenda tu kisegemnege, ani hajui mbele wala ya korogosho something. Kuna majina mingi naweza tumia, but appointing Samuel Mutua Kivuitu as an electoral commissioner was a mistake, a very big mistake. It should not have even happened. Making him the vice chairman of the Electoral Commission was like adding firewood to fire. And later, making him the chairman of the Electoral Commission was that you are not even contented with the firewood, now you have decided to add petrol to the fire. He was incompetent from day one. Looking back at the initial Electoral Commission that was formed, for those who are young enough, we used to have somebody in the AG's chamber. He was called Supervisor of Elections. Maybe I can compare him to a person today who is called a registrar of political parties. That is the nearest example I can give. The supervisor of elections used to coordinate with district commissioners. In Nairobi, there was a provincial commissioner. So he used to coordinate with the district commissioners. District commissioners were returning officers, and the DO1s were deputy returning officers. Presiding officers were government departmental heads. So the initial, unless ulikuwa ndani, it is very hard to appreciate the initial electoral commissioners. These are people who came up. First of all, they were appointed by one authority without the, unajua siku hizi everybody sings public participation. So there was no public participation of any nature. I support public participation, especially public who have knowledge in the field that you are talking about. There is another selection, the IPPG. That one, I've never liked it. At a political party sit together, then this political party appoints one or two commissioners, then the other. First of all, these are people who have been sent by each party to spy for them. The other thing, apart from ODM and KANU, KANU imepotea mpaka I almost forgot it. Tell me which other party has stayed for long. Okay, there is Ford Kenya, but most cases you'll find after every election, new parties come up. Imagine after 2007, if PNU had to appoint a commissioner. By 2013, there was no party called PNU. I don't even think it is there today. Then there was another party. I don't know which one took over 2013. Oh, 2013 was Jubilee. Now you can see where Jubilee is. And so on and so on. I would believe a competent recruiting agent can do that, and public participation should take place. Now back to the initial lineup. There was no public participation. Moi took it upon himself to do it. What formula he used, we don't know. But the way may not have been good, but the results were good. All commissioners except Samuel Mutua Kivuitu were great. Majority of the commissioners were lawyers. We had one or two statisticians. We had these people who wanachora map, vitu kama hiyo, because it was and it is a boundary commission. Where did the rain start beating us? First of all, it started with Kivuitu being appointed a commissioner. We can see with the Cherera 4 case, please, 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 if your name has ever appeared on the ballot paper, even if it appeared during Vasco da Gama's time, please, in the future, let us not have any person who has appeared on a ballot paper being a commissioner. Kivuitu previously was the MP for Parklands. So we are taking a politician who has already been an MP to be a commissioner. Those days, when you completed your term, nowadays is you complete your term and go. The reason why it was said so, it was because if you are to have another term, you'll try to kupembeleza those those appointing authority. Maybe you'll steal elections for them so that they reappoint you. So those days you could be reappointed as many times as possible. Now, for reasons that are not known, but you are, in the absence of facts, you are allowed to speculate. The vice chairman at that time was Jasper Mwadhani Mbaka. Maybe, and I'm saying maybe, somebody, and that person maybe was Moi, so that in case of Jasper Mwadhani Mbaka becoming the chairman, maybe he would not be controlled. So when Jasper Mwadhani Mbaka completed his initial contract, it was never renewed, and nobody ever explained why it was never renewed. All of them, the contract was renewed. Who is Jasper Mwadhani Mbaka? Jasper Mwadhani Mbaka was a retired senior resident magistrate. Those days. You know, today, every county is supposed to have a high court station. But those days of Kina Jasper Mwadhani Mbaka, the whole of Kenya had one high court. Hiyo hapo karibu na Hilton. And then there was only one court of appeal in East Africa. That was East African Court of Appeal. Mambo ya Supreme Court ilikuja na hii katiba mpya. So there used to be only one chief magistrate the whole country. One chief magistrate. So you can see, being a senior resident magistrate, he was a very senior person. The reasons why all of them, their contracts were renewed and his was not renewed, nobody knows. Then, we did not have a precedence, but it was decided that all commissioners sit down and appoint one of them to be the vice chairman. And the commissioners decided, it is still there up today if I'm not wrong, that commissioners themselves sit down and vote for a vice. Now they decided that the vice should be a lawyer, so that if anything happens to the chairman, natural or otherwise, then this lawyer can act as the chairman or later can become even the chairman. So mistake number 2, we had so many lawyers. We had even Gabriel Mukele, we had others. But the unfortunate thing is, him being a former politician, maybe he canvassed and he was made the vice chair. When he was made the vice chair, Kivuitu, then later, of course, Zakayo Richard Mutsunga Okhwachesoni was made the Chief Justice. And so they decided to make the final fatal mistake of appointing him the chairman. Apart from being a lawyer, a chairman of the Electoral Commission should be a strong-headed person. Look at Isaac Hassan. He looked like somebody who cannot even harm a fly. Anaongea pole pole as if ni muoga. But when he makes a mistake, he stands, not a mistake, when he makes a decision, he stands by the decision. We need a person like that. But Kivuitu, if you can see, he was a malleable fellow where people anaenda na bendera ya upepo. Mistake, there was a time I attended a training session in Webuye Municipal Council where he was addressing presiding officers. He was a very poor commissioner. He is the only commissioner who was talking, unajua ukiwa hapo station, hata mimi nina watoto wangu na ninaona watoto ni maziwa lala, they cannot operate a ballot book. Ninarudi na wapatia kazi ya kupiga tu muhuri ya. You see, Electoral Commission, it has to be given somebody competent, not only competent to that position, but competent to take a higher seat should at the 11th hour that position miss somebody. A clerk whom not only can that clerk be promoted on the spot to be a deputy presiding officer, but if things even go bad, that clerk can be immediately be promoted to presiding officer. So we need somebody like that. But you see, he was saying, hii kazi yetu tunaandika watu, tunaandika tu, tunaona huyu ni mtoto yako, unataka apate kitu, unamwambia sasa wewe kwa vile hakuna kitu unaweza, kazi yako tu ni kupiga muhuri kwa ballot paper ndio isiwe considered. You see that he was talking that when he was a commissioner, not even a vice. In the year 2002, Kivuitu was watu wa the then NAC walimzunguka, walimzingira, and they forced him to declare Kibaki the winner. The constitution then, or even now, you saw that in Bomas. Do you do that thing because you have been surrounded by people howling and doing whatever? No. You stand by the law. He should have stood by the law which was there. Yes, the candidate for KANU, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, had conceded defeat. In some democracies, if all, or if it is one, if only one candidate is remaining and all others have congratulated him or her, in some democracies, you can go ahead and declare that candidate duly elected. But in Kenya at that time, in the year 2002, the constitution was so funny that even if you had not counted one ballot box, you still had to wait until all ballot boxes were over. Finally, one of the reasons why Kenya burnt in the year 2007 was Samuel Mutua Kivuitu's reckless talks. I can tell you, I was in the security department. We have situations. Isaac Ahmed has written a book. I've not read it. We need those people who are in those positions. We would want the recent chairman. He's my age mate. I'm forgetting his name. He should even write a book where, okay, we have the limitation of secrecy. Maybe after that limitation is through, we should know what happened when and what was the tension there. But Kivuitu was even having some very reckless things. And the biggest mistake Kivuitu had was he did not know how to talk to journalists. Mimi ni mtoto mdogo. The year I was born, 1961, is the year that Kivuitu joined Dar es Salaam University to study law. But he never knew how to talk. Alikuwa nasema nini? anaropokwa. One, when journalists are asking you a question, be very careful, because wanaweza hata enda wakakata hiyo. You hear people saying I've been quoted out of context. You have to be very careful such that hata wakikata hiyo tape ibaki kadogo, you cannot be misquoted. Now let us see how his loose tongue went. He was asked, are you sure that Mwai Kibaki won elections? He said, I don't know. I don't know. I have to look at the papers. Now, when the tape was taken out, the second part was removed. Of course, journalists by profession, if the country went on oil, everybody woke up in the morning, everybody went to the shamba, everybody came back in the evening, journalism would be, and you see they get money through selling papers. So wakaona wakikata hiyo second part, and they repeated, I don't know, I don't know. And then there was, of course, there was a game on both sides. I'll come to that. But the reckless statements that he was making, I'm trying to call returning officers, they have switched off their phones. Wakikuja, I don't know where, wamejificha mstuni, wana cook figures, sijui nini. You know, he was hyping up. A person who is in authority, you pass through very dangerous situations. There are occasions I would want the OCS, I think he's now in jail for another criminal case. The OCS who was in Kabete, when Westgate was attacked, I would want him to write a book and tell us what he faced vitu kama hizo. But you see, Kivuitu was there talking, oh, when these people have switched off their phones, wanaenda sijui kukuk didi nini. He was preparing people psychologically for war. And he did that. Finally, because I've talked final on Kivuitu, but finally on the 2007 elections, when two or more people have differed, and you call in an independent arbitrator from outside, who comes and arbitrates it independently, we stand by his decision. Justice Krigler from South Africa said that both sides in the elections stall, and it is too hard to come up and find out who really won. That was the judgment. So finding people saying you stole, they both stole. But you see, for those who studied Kiswahili, you know the story of Pwagu na Pwaguzi. Mwizi na mwizi mkubwa. At a place called Nyando, the number of voters who voted was 105 to that of registered voters. That was 5% more. Now, if people are registered in the morning and they vote in the evening, 6 or so hours after registering, there is no way you can get 100% voter turnout. The presiding officer, the clerks are registered voters there, and maybe they were stationed in other stations apart from where they were registered, and it is hard for them to go there. What happened, and I want to tell tech agents what happened. You see, both sides were in the government, but Mwai Kibaki's side had access to intelligence. They knew what was happening in Nyando. They knew, and they organized themselves. So instead of wanasema nini, wakiiba tunaiba, wakikata tunakata, wakicheza tunacheza, instead of them waiting for that, what they did was they withheld nidhi. Sasa pande hii wakajaza, and then they decided to just once, and they just a figure that today, 17 years later, nidhi has not even reached that number that it was there in 2007. Tell the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Thank you.